Michigan expects to learn its NCAA fate at the end of this week by the latest. Let's talk about what that could be and why folks in Michigan think that this is going to be just fine. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you believe that Michigan will receive a postseason bowl ban for Conor Stalions and the University of Michigan's role in allegedly stealing signs using electronic devices, which is illegal and against NCAA bylaws? For those of you that have lived underneath that particular rock, I got to believe it is on Pluto, which is no longer a planet. It is just a huge rock. And congratulations, because you avoided talking about what we have been talking about for the better part of, it feels like 2 years almost, in that we first learned that Conor Stalions had orchestrated a advanced scouting unit to go across the country to record future opponents' signals using video, right? Then take that back home, decipher those signals, and use them to let the offense and defense know at Michigan what their opponents were running. Michigan fans believe that nothing here has been done wrong, and most other fans think that they're wrong about that. So what could they be facing after Michigan basically alleges Stalions scouted one game, which was an NCAA violation of the rules, and reportedly had others at several other games? University alleged much of what the sign stealing operation accomplished was legal. And then let's not forget that Conor Stalions resigned in November 23. That is November 2023. That is their stance going into the Committee on Infractions, according to the folks that should know in and around the University of Michigan. So what they expect to see from the Committee on Infractions and their final ruling on this is that you'll get a suspension for head coach Sherrone Moore, a pretty hefty fine, but paying fines has never scared Michigan. Show causes for Jim Harbaugh, which is kind of useless because he coaches in the NFL, and show causes usually last for about 5 years. And I don't see Jim Harbaugh returning to coach college football ever, if not in the next 5 years. And then you're talking about Stalions also getting the show cause, which could actually hurt, and some recruiting violations, all things that have been reported by folks that are credible, by beat writers on the ground. Nobody here really expects that there's going to be any more to come out of this. And it could come out as we're dropping this segment on Thursday. It come out Thursday, come out Friday. But the timing for this, I think, is right where we expected it to be because of the year-long investigation that needed to take place, plus the hearing, plus the back and forth between the University of Michigan and the NCAA. And the longer that this has gone on, like many things that have been drawn out when people think they are wrong, the more the public has grown tired of it, fatigued by it. Even myself, I would like to play football, right? I know what Michigan did was not right, right? And it was not in keeping with the sportsmanship in the game, to which there are 2 rules of thumb on here. The first rule of thumb is, did you win? The second rule of thumb is, why are you crying, right? I know that many of us grow up in the no blood, no foul part of the world. Like, I'm the last generation to grow up without a cell phone in my hand. I'm the last generation to grow up and still be able to go into a fist fight. I'm the last generation to grow up and not need to sue anybody to get my point across. Okay. I think what I would want is for some admission of, yeah, we did what we weren't supposed to do and we got caught. But that more or less is not going to happen, right? Plus, add to this The Big Ten already stepped in and did what a good league is supposed to do, and it penalized Michigan. It made Jim Harbaugh sit out 3 games, made Sherrone Moore into the interim. Conor Stalions nowhere to be seen. Like, as soon as this rose to the level that it did in the Big Ten, October 23, you had coaches everywhere going, hey, do something about this right now, Tony Petitti. And he says, I'm on it. And they get out and ahead of it, and there's something like a punishment that was given. Now, I don't think that Michigan has once said we're sorry for what we did, really sorry that they got caught. And more importantly, it didn't really matter, right? And as far as the play on the field, the guys that played the game, they kept winning. And they won all the way through. They beat Ohio State. They won the Big Ten championship, and they won their first national championship in 25 years. We could say perhaps that by that time, you know enough about your opponent and how they would like to run their schemes to do some damage, but we can get that in film review too. If you're just chewing film, you're going to pick up tendencies, you're going to pick up tells, and you can turn yourself into Luke Kuechly, who famously would play linebacker and yell out what the play was going to be, whether it was a draw or a dive or flood. And he had quarterback shook because how? And then they'd audible into something else and he'd yell out what that audible was. And that is one of the ways in which Luke Kuechly was always the right place at the right time and near the top of total tackles in the league every year that he played. Really phenomenal football player, but he also watched a lot of film and picked up on a lot of tells. If you can do that as a head coach, as an assistant, or an analyst like Conor Stalions, you've got a tool that many don't. Now, I want to be very clear. The sign stealing as a term, I'm going to keep using it. Because that's what you did. You stole the signs. You stole the signs illegal. But RJ, didn't Brent Venables steal signs at Clemson? Yeah. Looking across the sideline with his own 2 eyes and his own 2 fingers during the game. Not going to somebody else's stadium when they're playing another opponent and videoing every single sign, taking said video home, throwing it up on the big screen, and stopping every time to write down what signals you see and what play is run and cataloging it. That's a bridge too far. The best way that I put this for folks that aren't familiar with what we do with college football is, have you ever met someone who won Trivial Pursuit every single time you played? And then what you find out is they had memorized the back of every frigging card in the deck. So you get some new cards and you throw them in the deck and they memorize the back of those cards. And on and on and on we go. Because at that point, we're not talking about how good you are at recalling trivial trivia. We're talking about, did you memorize the deck? So the pursuit of the game is done. This person, for whatever reason, decided to take another step toward what we think is something like cheating, but not quite cheating, right? But we got rules in the NCAA bylaws that would prevent you from going to read the back of every single card in the deck, right? And it starts at NCAA bylaw 11.7.2. Okay? You can't go to other people's stadiums and use electronic equipment to record their signs. Wild, I know, but that's where we are.